Person of the Year, Stephen Fry.
The first ever Lovie Person of the Year, Mr. Stephen Fry.
Oh my goodness. Oh. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been told that the tradition, although it's only 2 years old, the Lovie Awards, is to make a speech of 5 words that includes the word love. So I would say, as my 5-word speech, Lovelace Turing on banknotes now. The European contribution to the technological world that most of us in this room embrace and love has been enormous. We know about Tim Berners-Lee and Jonathan Ive. We know about CERN. We know about the invention of MP3 in Germany. We know about Sweden's contribution through Spotify and Pirate Bay. And we know about the extraordinary mixture, the nexus, if I can call it that, of technology, science, mathematics, and the liberal arts that make technology today so exciting. One of the reasons I completely adore everything tech is because it seems to me that it embraces everything that's best in being human. That is to say, an intellectual understanding of mathematics and science that is pure and untainted, and there's also a social side, which is to do with being human. Sometimes I get invited by people, business people, to give lectures on harnessing the power of Twitter. And my response to them is always, fuck off. Twitter is not about harnessing power, it is about being yourself. There is no business end to Twitter. There is no business end to the internet. It's about being human. If you want to enjoy the technology that is surrounding us all the time, all you have to be is yourself. And that's so obvious that it's almost not worth stating, and yet it needs to be stated all the time, because there are frauds out there. There are people out there who will try and persuade you that for the exchange of a bit of money, they can make your internet presence more valuable. They can give you something that you wouldn't otherwise have. You already have it inside yourselves. You don't need anything other than human honesty to be yourself. I'm very, very lucky because for some reason I embraced human and digital technology very early on, and I have got more out of it than it's got out of me. It has given me the most fantastic pleasure. But to return to my original 5-word speech, let's look at Alan Turing and Ada Lovelace. Ada Lovelace was the first ever programmer in the history of computing. She, as you probably know, was the daughter of Lord Byron, well, probably the only legitimate daughter of Lord Byron. He had others. She worked with Charles Babbage. And incidentally, if there are any musicians here, it just occurred to me as I was coming up here that C. Babbage is a tune. Every letter of C. Babbage is a note. So if someone can write a tune using C, B, A, B, B, A, G, E, they will write the best computer tune ever. He, of course, invented the difference engine, the first calculating machine that we know of, and Ada Lovelace was the programmer behind it, and the Lovies are named after her. And Alan Turing was, of course, the man who devised the first digital computer, the Colossus in Manchester, and of course the bombs he did that saved basically at least a year of the World War at Bletchley Park. Both of them, as it happens, were outsiders. Ada Lovelace was a woman at a time when being a woman in science and in learning was almost inconceivable, and she's been totally ignored by history until very recently. Alan Turing was a gay man who committed suicide because he was castrated chemically by a court for his offense, as it were. It doesn't mean that in order to be a great tech person, you have to be either a woman or gay, though I do hope there's a large proportion of both in the room today. But what it means is that the usual geeky idea that you separate science and technology from humanity is totally misconceived. Technology and humanity are absolutely linked. And if my presence on Twitter or on anything else means anything, it is simply open honesty. And I sometimes make an enormous ass of myself on Twitter by being drunk and saying something I shouldn't. And we can all allow ourselves that. The rule is tweet in haste, repent in leisure. But this award means everything to me. It's a true honor. And I particularly admire and reverence those behind it for understanding the European contribution to tech, from Sam, from Tim Berners-Lee and Johnny Ive and others I've mentioned. It's been absolutely enormous. And most of you in this room, I'm sure, are utterly devoted to the idea of creating. And creating is both a scientific and an artistic word. And how rarely do those two come together? They used to be called the two cultures, as if they were enemies. And what the last 10 or 15 years has shown is that arts and sciences are one, because they are human. Thank you very much.